Alright, back again. So in today's video, it's going to be a follow-up to the previous Jazz Weirdos video where I spoke about the Berklee Faculty Guitar Jam. You know, that ever-hated video. So hated, in fact, that the Berklee School of Music deleted it from their Facebook and YouTube channels. So, you know, I went around snooping about, happened to find it online on some, I don't know, Russian website. I don't know if I've got some kind of international spy virus or what. Like there's like a Kremlin goblin hiding in my laptop right now and then is gonna get me. But yeah, look, that video did do pretty well, so I think it warrants a follow-up, because my thesis in that video was obviously that, you know, the hate is overblown, right? These professors didn't deserve the criticisms, well, maybe some of them, but they definitely didn't deserve all the criticisms that they got for that performance. You know, you can go see my previous video if you want a detailed breakdown of what I think about that. But suffice to say, I did think that it was a decent performance. I do think it was maybe not appropriate for what they were trying to achieve with it. You know, maybe could have reined it in a little bit. But ultimately, my point is these are talented, seasoned musicians playing a style of music that, you know, while fairly popular, it's not accessible to everybody. So once it reaches the masses, you know, they start listening wrong to these songs. And I've listened to music wrong before in my life. You know, I didn't enjoy Bootsy Collins the first time I heard him. God knows why. But I mean, Bootsy Collins is one of the greatest funk bassists of all time, and Bootsy's Rubber Band is an amazing band, okay? So I don't know what was going on in my head at that time, but point being, it is possible to listen to music wrong. Especially if you don't know what, you know, you're not familiar with the tradition, which is probably what happened to me with funk, because that's when I was starting to get into funk. And I think I probably thought that all funk should sound like James Brown or something, you know? But, you know, I'm going on a tangent here now. But what we're going to do today is I'm just going to prove my point a little bit more firmly by looking at a couple of performances by the four professors in that video, right? I've found their YouTube channels, individual YouTube channels, and I'm going to react to 2 songs by each of them. Try to find one longer, one shorter, but you know, it's jazz, so sometimes you're not going to find a short song depending on the musician. You know, some of them like to write long songs, but what can you do? Yeah, so let's not waste any more time. I have a habit of making videos way too long, just rambling, so let's cut to the point this time. Right, so first up, we've got Sheryl Bailey. That was the lady from the performance. I did say that her performance was one of the smoother of the 4, right? If you've seen my video, you'll remember, maybe you'll remember, that I said that the most accessible performance was either her or it was the guy who was next to her, who I found out is a guy named Tim Miller. But we'll get to him in a couple of minutes. So, Sheryl Bailey. Let's look at her. She's got I'm assuming this is a trio called the Sheryl Bailey 3. This is Good News Alternate Take. So let's have a listen.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Right, so immediately off the bat, it's a much more digestible kind of jazz. This is way easier for a non-jazz listener to approach this, hear it, and enjoy it. So, it's the kind of jazz where if you like smooth music, if you like something laid back, guitar based, this is the kind of jazz you should be introducing yourself to. So this might be where some non-jazz listeners start to kind of, get lost in this music. But this is like standard jazz guitar, right? And she hasn't played any very out there kind of notes. It's all very normal sounding. That's not a bad thing. Like I said, it makes it easier for non-jazz listeners. So maybe Sheryl Bailey is the entry point into this Berklee jazz fiasco, and you could learn to understand it a little bit better. I will say I do like how into it she's getting. She's very animated, There's a lot of kind of stuff going on. She's great. I see nothing wrong with this. I mean, it's fairly technical, but it's not technical to the point of over-encumbering complexity, right? It's very, by jazz standards, it's fairly simple. It's got a nice solid rhythm, which always helps. I said this in the previous video. Once the drums and bass guitar kicked in, everything started to coalesce, and it really sounded a lot better once the rhythm section glued what they were doing in place. Look, there's a lot of quick runs, and the melody might be a little complex for a non-jazz listener, but it's not stretching the listener to the point of discomfort, right? There's no unsettling tones. There's nothing that really challenges the listener's ear that much. It's just the right amount of challenge for a new listener. And I would say, especially for people who come from like a shreddy music background, if you listen to metal, you listen to flashy rock music, that fast, look at me guitar solos, those kind of listeners might appreciate this. It's high tempo, her fingers are all over the fretboard. She's like down here, then she's up here, and she's going pretty crazy. So I think all those shred heads out there, they could appreciate this if they could settle down for a second and listen to something that's not meant to pummel your ears relentlessly. You can sit down and you could, it's up tempo, but you could chill with this. Alright, nerd. No one wants to hear a keyboard solo. Let's see, is this the rest of the song? Yeah, seems like brother over here jams out for the rest of the track. Okay, right, back to Sheryl. Let's see what she's got for us. Yeah, beautiful. Point proven. Took less than 5 minutes. At least for Sheryl, point proven. You can't argue. She's fantastic. I'd learn guitar from her. In fact, I might just subscribe to her YouTube channel. She's got a shitload of lessons on there. All right, so another piece from Sheryl Bailey, Blues F, Jazz Guitar Improvisation. I think this is a solo piece by her. This one's a little bit shorter. Let's have a listen. Okay, this is really nice now because it's basically her playing to a backing track from what I can tell. But what this does for us is it really lets us focus on her playing, right? It's like a semi-instructional / performance piece. So at least that's the impression I get from it, from the way she's filming it. She wants you to be able to watch and imitate. But what it does is it takes some of the focus away from the rest of the band so we can really sit and listen to what she's doing on guitar. So you can pay a little bit more attention to things like her phrasing, her intonation, her tone, just like nerdy musician shit. Look at the spread on some of those chords. They look a little bit challenging. So this piece is maybe like a smidge more advanced than the previous one. This one's got a little bit more unexpected chord and note choices, right? This one might unnerve the uninitiated listener a little bit more, but it's still, soft, it's laid back, it's not abrasive. Yeah, I think this is like phase 2 jazz listening, in my opinion. But yeah, Sheryl Bailey, fantastic. Check her out at her YouTube channel and the DC Music School. There seems like they've got some good shit. Okay, so that was Sheryl Bailey.